Hey everyone, great to be back with you today. I am Renee Carter,
And I'm Glenn Thomas.
and this is Heart Talk
Talk
Live.
Talk Live.
Yes,
Yeah, glad to have everybody back with us today. Once again, talking about things that we just love to talk about. Love, hard work, all that good stuff. We like to say that we want you to put heart back in your work. If you can really see how that can happen in your life, you can put that heart back in your work. So we're ready to talk about it.
that's right. Always, Glenn. And we have a great discussion for you today. Once again, we are very direct. Your culture is not cutting it. Your culture is not cutting it. Listen, if y'all waiting for us to like dress it all up and put pretty clothes on it, we're not. We just
Yeah.
opening the window and going all in. Your culture is not cutting it. You thinking and believing that your culture is doing you and your family, your work family justice, but it's not. Checking the temperature of your culture and making sure that, guess what? Are people happy? Are people psychologically safe? So, today, sorry, Glenn and I are going to just chop it up with you. So, Glenn, I want to start you off with a question before we get started, before you dig into what makes an amazing culture. Let's talk first about some sure ways to damage your company's or your organization's culture as a leader.
Yeah, I mean, look, and the crazy thing about it is that there are some things that we consciously do in organizations that damage culture, and there's a hell of a lot more subconscious in the subconscious. The things that we think we're doing something well, but the reality of it is that we're really harming our teams and our cultures deeper than we know it. And most of it is due to tradition and normalizing. This is how we do it, right? This is how we do it. This is how it's been done. And look, we'll talk about it a little bit more, but from how you literally recruit somebody to how you onboard someone to how you celebrate someone, all these aspects are aspects of culture that contribute to someone either feeling welcome and included or feeling dismayed. And we know that the research, those studies have shown over the past 5-7 years that most of employees in an organization, most 70% are disengaged in some kind of way. And of those 70% that are disengaged, heck, half of them are on Indeed.com or LinkedIn Jobs. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you know right now.
70%, Glenn.
Yep.
70%.
Listen. If you lead a team of 50 people, 25 of them, well, let's say 70.
No.
If you lead a team of say 50 people, let's say you got 50 people on your team, right?
Right.
So
That's
70% of that is like 35, right?
35 to 40 people.
Half of that is like 17. So either 50 people, 17 to 20 of those people are probably looking for jobs right now, right? Like on their lunch hour, like they right now, like it's almost noon. They looking for jobs right now. Like you ain't got to worry about it.
They been downloaded Indeed on their phones. They
Yeah,
like
yeah. They got Indeed. They got the Indeed
like,
app. They got the LinkedIn app. They got, what's the other ones? I don't want to leave nobody out. You got
all of
careerbuilder.com. You got
them.
all of them.
All of them. Wow. And last week we talked about the onboarding process. And so this week we're going to dig into like the people who are already there that apparently, like you said, the 40 of them that just ain't happy.
Hold on. I got to do a timeout. I got to do
Okay.
Shelby's like, yo. She's like, listen.
During work.
She's like, I was going and doing work and on their computer.
Oh my God. Oh
I'm
my
pretty
God.
sure Shelby's in
Yes.
position
And
right
they're
now to
using
be.
your resources.
I'm sure she's in a position right now where these responses will not affect her in any call.
Exactly. Look, I'm telling you, they are. They're using your resources, folks. Look, they're using your resources.
Definitely
You hilarious. Okay, so
hilarious.
Glenn. So last week we talked about onboarding. This week, let's talk about, how to develop and cultivate those relationships and, you know, value your people and, all the good stuff that goes into a culture. Today you said you're going to talk about temper and temperature, tenure, and temperament.
What
And
is going on with you today?
I don't know, Shelby got me cracking up here. I'm already gone.
let's give Renee. Let's give Renee a swig of water or something.
Oh my God, tell Shelby to stop. Look, I miss her.
Look. I mean, look. Yeah, we're gonna listen. Let's talk about culture, right? So let's talk about really when we look at our framework in culture, we really like to really address three aspects of culture, and that's really identity, values, and relationships, right? Culture is about identity, values, and relationships. The identity of your organization. Like when people think of your organization, what do they think of? What are the words that come out of their mouths? Like, immediately, like they think, oh, that's a great company. They either say it's a great company. Oh, I've heard good things about them, or they treat their people well, or 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 they don't really take care of you. When you get sick, like they're not going they don't care too much for that, right? There's an identity of a company. They have them, especially companies that have a local flavor, local brand connection. Companies that are deeply entrenched into a community, a city, been there for some time. People know about those companies, those organizations. They have an identity, and whether it's warranted and unwarranted, perceptions reality. And so they have an identity, and so you must understand that. The second place is around values, though. What values do you espouse? Some companies really try and make an effort to explicitly state what and who they value. you know Basically stating what you value, you're basically um stating who you value. So even if you don't explicitly state who you value, right? And and so the after getting through understanding identity and values, it's really about relationships. Culture is about relationships. Do you have a culture where you really nurture the whole aspect of building authentic relationship? Not not the transactional piece of business, because there are transactions that happen. I need you to do X so we can do Y, right? That's a transaction. That's understandable. There is a thing called transactional leadership, and it has its place. But I'm talking about the connection point of person to person, authenticity to authenticity, and building genuine relationship. So identities, values, and relationships, and that's the framework we like to talk about as it relates to culture. But for this conversation, your culture isn't cutting it. There's a phrase I like to share all the time with clients and just people in general about culture. I always ask the question. The phrase is a question. I always ask the question: do you see clearly?
Mm.
It's like, huh? What do you mean? Do you see clearly?
Clearly.
And I'm an acronym maniac. Like I literally wake up in the middle of the night with an acronym in my head, and I go to the whiteboard and I write it down.
But you're good at acronyms, though.
I'm about to
Like,
drop one on you.
oh boy,
I'm
oh
about
boy.
to drop one on you.
Hold on, let me get my pen.
Do you see clearly? C is an acronym. SEE. Do you see
Mm-hmm.
clearly?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you what C means, but we're only going to talk about the S today. We don't got time for the S. You can follow back up with us on the other E's. C means, do you set, Do you empower? And do you excel
Mm.
clearly?
Do you set, empower, and excel clearly? I love it.
We're going to talk about setting,
Mm.
setting in the culture, organization. How do you set your culture up? There are three ways we
Mm-hmm.
set a culture up. The first is through temperature. We got to set the temperature.
Okay.
And we've talked about this before, previous talks. It's like, when you walk into, when you go home, you leave work, you go home and you get into the house, and it's right around that time where the seasons change, and you walk in the house and it's going from warm and to a little cooler, and you walk in and by the time you may get home, it's around 7 p.m. Now when you left, right, you weren't really concerned because you knew you were gonna leave. But when you got back, during the daytime it was warm, but at nighttime it got a little bit cooler. Maybe you didn't set the temperature correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So you walked in your house and it was uncomfortable. You were like, oh my goodness, like, it's cold up in here. It got a little chill. I can't operate that way tonight. Like I can't go to sleep. It's 65 degrees up in here. It's 67 degrees outside. I gotta get a little warmer up in here. We set the temperature in our homes. We literally set the temperature. Now, let's talk about figuratively setting the temperature. How do we figuratively set the temperature in a sense, even in our homes? As a parent, as an adult, if you have children, if you have a family, if you are the person in the household that basically makes the decisions,
Mm-hmm.
you are a temperature setter.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day you set the temperature. You make sure that everyone in the household understands the culture that we are going to live in, right? If you like my mom, my mom, the way she set the temperature was like, listen, my voice goes, my rules go. And if you have your own rules, you can go, right? That was the temperature my mama set, right? So,
Right.
but when we're in the workplace as organizational leaders, when I ask, do you see clearly? Do you set the temperature clearly for everyone in the organization to understand this is our identity? These are our values. And this is how we build relationship. In order to do that, you got to set
Mm-hmm.
the temperature. You right about that, shit. I know.
Right, Shelby. I
I
know.
know. Don't listen. We go way back. I know. All
Mm-hmm.
right. You have to set the temperature in an organization. You have to make sure that people understand clearly that you collectively are on the same page. That when you walk in the room as a leader, that you set the temperature through those aspects of the framework, but you have to do it every single day, and it has to be ingrained in the culture about how, as leaders, we set the temperature when we walk in the room. You
Mm-hmm.
know what it is.
Yep.
Walking in, people kind of grimy, people not feeling good, people talking, people like, something may have happened at work, and people may be gossiping, and people, and as a leader, when you walk in the room, how are you setting the temperature to bring in a calm to the room, to demonstrate that, remember our identity, folks. Like, remember our values. But not only are you speaking it as a leader in an organization, how are you demonstrating it when nobody's watching? How are you setting the temperature?
And Glenn, let me say this. Part of the way that I feel organizations should set the temperature, or that we talk about this, is through policies, right? So, and how we how we design our policies, the way our policies are designed, gives people an idea of what your identity is in the company. So you set the temperature by your policies as well. You know, a lot of times you talked about people looking for jobs. A lot of times those policies are not sustainable among the culture, and the temperature is just too hot, and people can't stand the temperature. So they try to get out before they burn.
Yeah, look, I mean, listen, I've been in some bad situations before. I've been in some great ones, but I've been in a lot of bad ones where the culture temperature was always fluctuating. It was you couldn't, you needed a jacket or you need to, get down to a t-shirt. I mean, it was up, it was hot, it was cold, it was bad, it was left, it was right, it was all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you're in that organization, if you work in an organization where you can't figure out the temperature, like like you tippy toeing right around,
Mm-hmm.
you really being cautious
That.
about what you say, who you say it to, what you do. That's an organization that's built for failure,
That's built for
and
failure.
not even built for failure, but it's destined
For
for
failure.
failure. The
When you
reason
have
why,
to
because
work layered up.
you can't get the best out of somebody when the temperature fluctuating all the time. You can't get the best out of somebody when they're always uncomfortable, when they don't know if they need to get a jacket or a t-shirt, or they don't know if they need to, go silent or be boisterous. They're always tiptoeing around because they're uncomfortable. Uncomfortable people don't do extraordinary things.
No. And when they come to school, when they come to the organization with heavy clothing on, dressed in layers, not knowing they should be how they should be dressed for the day. They don't know if they need to come out of clothes or put clothes on or change shirts, or when they come to work in that
Yeah.
way and they're not feeling psychologically safe, then it's very difficult for them to be innovative and creative in what they do.
Listen, not only is setting the temperature really the first, that's it. That's the accountability check for all of us,
Mhm.
right? But the second one is, listen, hurt feelings alert. Here we go.
Uh-oh.
Hurt feelings alert. I want everybody to just guard your feelings right now.
Mm-mm.
The second piece of this is that you got to set the tenor clearly.
Mm.
So what is tenor? Everybody been in the choir before?
I know.
Choir, all the choir folks. Yeah, I know you're choir. I know Bob's a choir person. He choir
Yep.
folks.
I was a choir person.
All the choir folks. You know about tenors, right? You know who a tenor is. That tenor. Without a tenor, you really can't get the choir going without a tenor. Tenor's right in that
Right.
middle space, right in that sweet spot,
Right above altos, right below the bass.
right below. Yeah, tenor's in
Right
that
in the
sweet
middle.
spot.
They were in that sweet spot.
The tenor's a
Very
sweet spot in
fun.
the culture.
Yeah.
You set that tenor. The tenor isn't the field. The tenor is what you're saying.
Hmm.
The tenor is what you're saying. What are you saying? What are you saying in this culture, in this place of identity, values, and relationship? What are you saying to bring people calm,
Hmm.
safety, welcoming, your voice, your words? What are you saying when you know you can say something else, but you understand and you're very connected to whoever you are speaking to, whatever you're speaking about, that you choose your words wisely?
Hmm.
That you know
Hmm.
that when you coach someone, that you don't have to denigrate somebody. That when you are pointing out a mistake, that you don't have to look down on somebody, that you can lift people even in their lowest moments with your
Mm-hmm.
words. Words are powerful. What's your tenor as a leader? And
Mm.
anybody listening to this or looking at this should ask yourself, what's my tenor when I speak to people?
Mm.
What's my tenor when I speak to my team? What do they hear when I say those words that may pierce them? What are those words that I choose so wisely or unwisely?
And does it align with your actions? Can you be trusted? When you said those words, did your actions or do your actions and your body language align with what you're saying?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then there's a relationship right there. Like you can't be trusted. People are looking in your eyes and they're looking at your body language and they're looking at the whole person and your actions because you can't say something to a person and then walk away and do something else. So people are watching you to see if you can be trusted. And part of that trust comes from does your words align with what you actually do, with your policies, with whatever you put in place in your organization?
Yeah, and I think, when we talk about or your words aligning, those are very, again, people they aren't gonna necessarily tell you all the time when they don't align. They're just gonna see it, right? They're gonna see when
Mm-hmm.
your words don't align. But I'll tell you what the clue is.
Mm-hmm.
The clue is in the third piece of this riddle. Here's where the clue rests, because where the clue rests is where people make a decision of whether or not they want to talk to you about it anyway. They're like,
Mm,
I'm gonna tell you what the clue is.
that.
The clue is in the tone.
Mm.
See, the clue is in the tone.
Number three, the tone.
Setting the tone. You see, what you say matters, but how you say,
Mm.
how
Mm.
you say it gives the clue. It gives the clue in saying whether or not Glenn is actually caring about me or Glenn doesn't give a damn about me.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the tone. And if we don't take time to first set the temperature. Let's say we messed the temperature up. All right, we messed that up. All right, we get to tenor, and the words don't really come out the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the gall, the unmitigated audacity
To be nasty.
to be just plain disrespectful and nasty to
Just
somebody.
nasty.
Phone all wrong.
Right.
And then we wonder why people are on Indeed.com at 11:45 in the morning during their pre-lunch break, and afterwards during their afternoon snack, and after work during their dinner. We wonder why people in our organizations come in and give 30-40% of their skill set. And then we have, again, the unmitigated audacity
Be.
to coach someone who's giving less than because we gave them less than.
Ooh. Mm-mm. I ain't gonna let you get away with that. Run that back. And I want you to say it with the most fierce Glenn Thomas tone that you can say it, please, because this is the most important thing you have said today.
I'm about to tell it to you, listen to me. You can't ask nobody to give you 100% when you giving them 30. Let me
There
tell
you
you
go.
something. You just can't, you can't expect a grown, listen, don't get, listen. I was about to, you
Don't do
can't,
it.
you can't, listen, you
Say
can't
it.
expect a grown man or woman to show up in your place of work. You give them 30% of you, and expect them to give back 100% of them. It doesn't work that way. And what's happening in so many organizations is that organizations feel privileged. They feel they're in the privilege of business, where they feel as though they are entitled to your 100%, but you only need to receive 30% of theirs. It's the opposite, folks. If you're an organizational leader, you have to understand this. It's the opposite. The talent marketplace has shifted. The talent marketplace has evolved. You just can't tell talent what to do like you used to anymore. You just can't treat talent any kind of way. You just can't tell somebody with a brain and a heart and a skill and a strength and a passion and a purpose just to show up and show out for you, and you treat them less than. You can't tell the talent pool that anymore. And if you are thinking that your culture of 10 years ago is going to get you to a culture of 10 years in the future, you are sadly mistaken. You won't be relevant in 10 years in the future. If you're an organizational leader right now and you're inclined to agree with me that we have to begin to rethink our disposition when it comes to the most important asset in our business, our people. If you're inclined to think so, to agree with me, then you can take the first step. We can't give folks 30% and expect 100 back. It ain't gonna work, folks.
And you give people what you have. So you come to work with 30%, and so here's where I'm gonna go. Heal, folks. Heal and heal. When I tell you to heal, I mean sit back and do a self-reflection of why your temperature, your tenure, and your tone is disrespectful to others. And then heal. And don't just ask why. Keep moving in the process of fixing yourself so that you can be nice to people, say nice things to people, and say it in a nice way.
Oh, I'm gonna take what you just said. But Shelby, you tripping with it. You
I
got
know.
one today.
Listen here. She on fire today. She must be at work.
What's up, Jay?
Hey, Jamila. Embracing
Listen,
the process.
This is what you said, really, right here. Leaders, you can't come to work all messed up and then expect to damn near put it out on other people.
Ooh. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I said.
Listen, you can't. You got stuff going on in your life, and you come to work and you bringing that mess with you, and you releasing it on folks, and you wonder why they ain't giving you all they got. Right?
Why?
Right?
You wonder why. You wonder why.
So the answer is fairly simple. It's fairly simple, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in a position to change your behavior, and the leaders know who, like I was that person at one time, so I knew what it was, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're open to the reality of that, like at some point in your life, hopefully you're gonna stop wanting to bring mess into other people's stuff and stop messing folks over because you got mess, and realize that like your mess ain't got nothing to do with them. At some point, culture is created through the collaborative efforts of individuals. It's a collaborative experience. So if you got 100 people in the business, 50 people bring mess, 50 people bring goodness, you're going to have a problem. But if you got 20 people bringing mess and 80 people bringing goodness, oh, you're going to be okay, because we know that you ain't going to never be in a position where everything is good. But if the culture says that we are goodness here, that we treat people well, that we set the temperature and the tone and the tenor of our culture to help people and heal people so they can bring their best selves, then I don't care what 20% exists, they can't win. But you got to start somewhere. If
And I'm
you got to
and
start
I'm
somewhere, you got to assess where you are right now.
and I'm telling you now, if people being unhappy, we put it like this in education. If you got the list of all your names of your students, and all of them in horizontal and vertically, all of them are failing, that's you.
Yeah, that's you.
If you have a horizontal fail, that might be one or two people. But if it's a vertical failing, that is you as a leader. And when you start to see the 50, if Glenn has just blown my mind with the 70%. So when you start to see that 40% of your people are talking about walking, there's no need to have a meeting with your team. Mm-mm. Don't waste your time. Just don't waste your time. Especially if your temperature tone and your tenure are going to be the same. Don't waste your time. Get into some therapy, get into something, but stop hurting your folks and damaging their 8 hours a day.
I know some people that are gonna listen and look, and they were like, "Man, like that's not me." Like, that's look. Listen,
It
let me
was
tell you something.
me. It was
Look,
me.
look, let me tell you something.
She said, "Don't waste my time with another
Look,
me."
listen, listen. Your culture isn't cutting it because it's leader driven. Like, come on now. In any organization, there are a small handful of people that set the temperature, the tenor, and the tone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a small group of people. And the reason I know this, and we know this is factual, because there's only a small handful group of people that actually make the decisions in an organization anyway. I'm gonna give you case in point. Hiring happens at the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the CEO may not hire a frontline leader, a frontline employee, but the CEO sets the expectation
Mm-hmm.
of what they need, what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And so HR goes out and writes the job description and recruits and sources and recruits and in interviews, and they hire and they're on board and so forth and so on. That's temperature. That's temperature from day one.
Mm-hmm.
If the CEO says we're going to be an organization of love, you're going to be an organization about love. Now, the problem can come in when the CEO says we're going to be an organization about love and yet does not follow up in action. So what am I saying? I'm saying to you listening and watching that the probability that you're in an organization that's struggling with culture, the probability is more than likely. It's high. And not because I know everybody's organization, it's because the data, the research says to us that 70% of all American employees are disengaged in some shape, form, or fashion.
Mm.
That's all culture.
Mm.
Well, Glenn, they might have stuff going on with them in their life. You're right. But if you're in a healthy culture, when you got stuff going on with your life, you rush to work. You ain't heard me. you listen, you rush to work. You were like, man, I can't wait to get to work. Because work calms me. Work is healthy for me. Like it's the one thing in my life that I like getting to. But when you're not in a healthy culture, all it does is it just compounds
and perpetuates.
and perpetuates whatever is plaguing you, whatever's sitting on you. That's where people are. That's where so many people are. So don't get hurt feelings. Well, Glenn, I try my best. I understand that. Try harder. Don't get hurt with Glenn. I don't really have that much control. I only can control I only have a small team. I'm not the big. We'll do better in your small space, right? With Glenn, I really don't want to. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. I don't want to rock the boat. Well, damn near get out of leadership, okay? because like we pay leaders to ruffle and to rock boats and to say things that a lot of folks can't say, and to speak truth to power. Like that's what leaders get paid for. So that bothers you, if it makes you uncomfortable in a way that you are stagnant and can't move, then step out the way and let somebody else step in, because that's what leadership is about. Leadership isn't about saving your job.
And I want to speak to our frontline managers and the people who are caught in the middle. You're going to need to get some courage, and you're going to need to decide why you're in your job in the first place. You're going to need to decide what your purpose is for your people, right? So one of the things that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to say some things, like Glenn said, that other people wouldn't say. But then when you go back to your team, you're going to have to figure out how to say to your team, set the temperature, the tenor, and the tone for how you deliver a message that sometimes you may not even agree with. So you're going to have to figure that out. And you're going to need to develop some type of structure around how you deliver messages, how you make people feel even when you're uncomfortable. Because honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I had to decide in leadership that I had to wear it. I had to wear it. I had to wear the uncomfortable hat. And then I had to come in and wear the stress so that my people wouldn't feel it. And that's just it. That's what leadership is all about. And when you're in a healthy psychological place, you can wear it and you can walk into a meeting, and when people walk away, they can feel comfortable doing what is necessary to innovate the process. That's it.
Amen.
That's it. All right. Well, folks, as we come to an end to today's show, Glenn, tell me how you want to send us off, because you was on fire today.
I really want people, leaders especially, to really understand this. Like, your productivity, your performance isn't lacking because people are slacking. It's lacking because of culture. People aren't calling off all the time because they're lazy and they're built on excuses. They're calling off because of culture. People aren't on the job sites all the time, all during the day, all on the work computer, looking at other jobs because they're not satisfied or they want more money. It's because of culture. Somebody asked me today, what's the pain point of organizations? Like what's the pain point that you all fix or help fix for clients? Like, what do you guys do? I said, we help folks understand how to treat people. That's what we do. We're in the people business. Businesses are not failing. They're not swaying. They are not struggling because they don't pay enough or because they don't have enough ping pong tables, or they don't have the Taco Tuesday, or they don't have the Friday all for the 40-hour work week. They're not failing because they're not, giving extra bonuses every 2 months. They're not failing because, they don't have a raffle every Thursday. They're not failing because of all that nonsense that people talk about. Organizations are failing. They are failing their people. They are failing their clients, their customers, because you're treating your people less than.
Mm.
You have a culture. You have a culture that treats people less than. You will get less than. Get out from this world what you put in. As an organization, you are not entitled to somebody's 100% if you're only willing to give them 30. So the takeaway is simple. If you want your culture to be healthy, if you want your culture to connect, if you really want to succeed as a business, as a leader, then start getting serious about the business of people.
Yep. That's it, folks.
That's it.
Save your dollar on your crack cut sandwiches and your luncheons and your donuts. Save your money. Save your money and be nice to your people. That's all Glenn's saying.
Just be nice. Be nice.
That's all he's saying.
Please.
Thank you to everyone for sharing space with us once more on our Heart Talk Live. And remember to keep doing your heart work. I am Renee.
And I'm Glenn.
And this has been another amazing talk with
Heart Talk Live. We love you guys.
We love you guys. We love you. See you soon.
Take care.